The first thing people remember is the sound. Not the words, not the blood, not even the look on his face. Just that sharp crack that cut through the air like something breaking for good. When his hand hit my face, the entire training yard froze, and in that split second I realized something that made my stomach go cold. He thought I was nothing. No name. No one. And he was very, very wrong. Let me take you back, because this didn't start with violence. It started 3 days earlier, under a sun that felt personal, like it woke up angry just for us. Red dust everywhere, sticking to sweat, crawling into your boots, your throat, your thoughts. Camp Ridgeline sat in the middle of nowhere, Texas, the kind of place where they take civilians and strip them down to their nerves to see who survives the process. 58 of us stepped off that bus at dawn, trying to look tough, trying not to look scared. I carried one bag. That was it. No jewelry, no watch, nothing fancy. I wanted to blend in, disappear into the line. My phone buzzed once before intake. I glanced down. Mom. I turned it off. I'd promised myself something before I ever signed the papers. No favors, no explanations, no safety net. If I was going to do this, I was going to earn it like everyone else. Yeah, that decision comes back later. Processing moved fast. Paperwork, bunks, gear dumps. Sergeant Miller ran intake, flipping through folders like she'd done it 1,000 times before. When she hit mine, she paused. Just for a heartbeat, enough for me to notice. Her eyes flicked up to my face, then back down to the file. Recognition. I shook my head slightly. Please, don't say it. She hesitated, then nodded and stamped my paperwork. Barracks, C-Bunk 19. Just another recruit. Then he arrived. Instructor Cole. That was his name. Tall, broad voice like gravel dragged across concrete. He walked the line slowly, eyes cutting through people like he was sorting meat. He called out names at first. Real names. Human names. Baker. Lewis. O'Connor. Each one answered, voice shaking but acknowledged. Then he stopped in front of me, glanced at his clipboard, and something changed in his expression. Number 42. That was it. Not my name, just a number. You don't need anything else, he said. That's all you are here. I said yes, sir, because that's what you do when someone with power decides you don't deserve words. The thing is, I didn't fall apart like he expected. I ran harder than most. Shot cleaner than most. On the obstacle course, I finished first, then turned back when I saw a guy struggling on the wall and pulled him up. No one told me to. It just felt wrong to leave him there. The range instructors started passing my targets around. Perfect grouping. Cole still called me 42. By the second morning, the attention turned sharp. Formation inspection. My uniform was flawless. Boots shined so clean you could see the sky in them. He stopped in front of me anyway. Those boots are trash. Everyone could see they weren't. I said I'd shine them to standard. He snapped at me for speaking, leaned in close breath, hot with coffee and anger. You think you belong here, he whispered. You're just filling space. That sentence dug deeper than the push-ups he ordered me to do. I dropped and did more than he asked. Didn't slow, didn't complain. That seemed to make him angrier. Then came the quiet punishment. Meals alone. People avoiding the seat next to me like it was cursed. Anyone who tried to sit got threatened with extra drills. Fear works fast in places like that. I don't blame them. Training teaches you survival, first courage later. The night before everything exploded, he kicked the barracks door open before dawn. Flashlight straight in my eyes. Tore apart my bunk, dumped my locker. Held up my phone like he'd caught contraband. Said I'd broken rules. I told him training hours hadn't started yet. He smiled and slipped the phone into his pocket. All my notes, all my recordings. Everything I'd been documenting quietly just in case. What he didn't know was I'd learned long ago to never keep only one copy of the truth. The next morning, he went public. Formation. Everyone watching as he accused me of violations I hadn't committed said I lacked discipline, said some people were just numbers who didn't last. One of the junior officers asked my name. Cole shrugged. Does it matter? That's when I knew this wasn't about training anymore. I spoke up. calm, controlled, told him he'd never asked my name, told him to file his complaints properly if he believed them. The yard went silent. He stepped closer, furious, asking who I thought I was. I said I was a recruit like everyone else. That should have been enough. He laughed, called me an experiment, said experiments fail. Then his hand moved. The sound echoed. My head snapped to the side. Blood on my lip. 57 people gasped at once. He looked shocked, like even he couldn't believe what he'd done. I didn't fall. I didn't cry. I wiped the blood away and stood there staring straight ahead. That's when I told him he was about to learn my name. What I didn't see was Sergeant Miller already stepping away, already dialing a number she wasn't supposed to use. She told my family what was happening. I didn't ask her to. I didn't even know she would. But some lines once crossed don't give you a choice. Minutes later, black SUVs rolled through the gate like they owned the place. Oversight, command, legal. The kind of people who don't show up unless something has gone very wrong. Cole went pale. One of them checked my lip. Then she turned to him and asked one simple question. "What is her name?" He couldn't answer. Tried to give my position number. She cut him off and asked again. Silence stretched so thick it hurt. When they read my full name and explained who my family was, I watched his confidence collapse in real time. He looked at me like I'd tricked him. I told him the truth. He never asked. I spoke to everyone there. Told them I wasn't doing this because of where I came from. I was doing it because he thought I was powerless. Because he thought no one would listen. And I asked how many others he'd done this to who didn't have anyone coming for them. Cole was removed that morning. Later charged. Later still stripped of everything he thought made him untouchable. Not because he hit the wrong person, but because he finally hit someone who could make the system pay attention. I finished training. I stayed. I lead people now. I know their names. Every single one. Because power isn't about who you can silence. It's about who you choose to see. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been treated like you didn't matter, like you were just a number, or watched it happen and stayed quiet because speaking up felt risky? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Argue if you want. Agree if you want. Just don't scroll past it like it's nothing, because the next person being reduced to a number might be waiting for someone like you to say their name.